The mast man assists the bowman with headsail changes, spinnaker sets, jibes, and douses, and helps maneuver the spinnaker pole. He's also responsible for pulling up the halyards at the mast to raise the sails. Ideally, the mast man should be tall, strong, and agile. He should also have a solid understanding of the bow and pit, as the mast man provides an integral link between the two. Before the race, make sure you're familiar with the location of each halyard and control line at the mast. You should also know where each one is led in the pit, so that you and the pit person can work in unison. It's a good idea to put marks on the halyards and topping lift where they exit the mast once they're fully hoisted. Finally, help the bowman run the spinnaker gear and connect the headsail. Once the jib is raised, always run the zipper back to the end of the bag and reconnect it so it's ready if needed. In the pre-start, the mast man's overall job is to make sure his weight is always in the right place. Stay forward and low so the helmsman can see. When reaching before the start, you may also be able to assist with the jib trim by holding the clew out and down, which improves the sheeting angle and power in the sail when it's eased. In light air, the mast man can also help in the tacks and jibes by running the jib clew back to the lead block. If the main sheet lead is forward, you can also help pull it in during high-speed turns. Upwind, the mast man's role is still focused on proper weight placement. Adjust your weight as necessary with the rest of the crew by hiking out in breeze or sitting to leeward in light air. Some boats designate one person to oversee the crew's weight trim, and the mast man is an ideal person for the job. Timing the crew's movements in a roll tack, for example, is very important. At the windward mark, the mast man should not come off the rail until the last possible second. Once the bowman has set up the pole and is ready for the hoist, spring from the rail to the mast. Start sneaking some of the spinnaker halyard up, making sure the sail does not fill. As the hoist is called, pull as fast as you can using large hand-over-hand pull. When the boat bears away, the halyard may become easier to pull momentarily. Take advantage of this before the spinnaker fills. If it starts to get harder or it fills, change your form to double-handed pulls out and away from the mast, and then down into the turning block, and throw all your weight into it. Be sure to watch for kinks in the line at the turning block as the pit takes up the slack. Once the spinnaker is up or it fills to where you can no longer pull it, move immediately to the jib leech and help pull the sail down with the bowman, working your way forward. Once the jib is down, grab the lazy guy and pull enough slack forward for a jibe. If you're disconnecting the jib, help the bowman fold and bag it. Take off the jib sheets and connect them together. In a tack set, the pole can't be raised before the tack, which makes for a much faster hoist maneuver. Once the boat tacks and starts to bear away, pull the spinnaker halyard up while the bowman or floater raises the topping lift. If you have time, you may be able to raise the pole first and then hoist. The other option is to raise the spinnaker after the tack and free fly it, holding the windward sheet out and down to keep it full while the bowman connects the pole to the guy. Whichever is done, make sure everyone on board knows the plan.
Okay, stand by.
A jibe set requires thinking well ahead of the actual move. Start by pulling the spinnaker up just as the boat bears away before the jibe. The bowman should already have the spinnaker set up and the inboard end of the pole up on the mast. As the jibe is completed, the sail should reach the top of the mast. The bowman, or floater if you have the extra hand, should get the topping lift up with the pit. If not, you can do that too after the spinnaker is up. Then go right into dropping the jib and set up for the next jibe. For a dip pole jibe, pull the inboard end of the pole up high enough on the mast so the outboard end can swing inside the headstay. This position should already be marked on the mast. When the trip is called, release the guy out of the end of the pole with the trip line and use it to swing the pole to the bowman. Once he's made the new guy in the end of the pole, pull the topping lift back up with the pitman, lower the inboard end back to normal, and get ready for the next jibe.
Okay, jiving.
In an end-for-end jibe, the bowman usually handles the spinnaker pole himself. The mast man may also assist by handing off the new guy for the bowman through the jibe, so he can connect it faster. Or, working as a team, the bowman can trip out the guy while the mast man makes the new one. In heavy air, the bowman will definitely need more help. Be ready to assist with the new guy and connecting the pole back on the mast. For a standard windward drop, help the bowman set the jib up on the starboard side. You'll need to connect the jib sheets to the jib so the sail can be tacked without fouling on the pole or the topping lift. There are 3 methods. First, the port jib sheet can be run up over the pole in front of the topping lift, so when the pole is lowered, the sail can tack. Or if the bowman is disconnecting the topping lift from the pole after it is lowered, you can simply run the sheet up and over the pole with the mast. Finally, on boats that disconnect the pole from the mast altogether, simply connect the sheets to the jib on deck. Then when you lower the pole, make sure you put it under the lazy jib sheet so it's clear. When it's time, hoist the jib at the mast and then lower the pole with the bowman, double checking that the jib sheets are clear. At the drop, help the bowman pull down the spinnaker. Once he gathers the foot, pull the bulk of the sail down to him while he stuffs it in the hatch. When 2/3 of the sail is down, check that the bowman has control of the rest, and then go to the rail as the boat heads upwind, while still keeping an eye on the bowman in case he runs into any trouble. For a leeward drop, connect the jib as mentioned, and then raise it at the mast. This time, leave the pole up and go right into pulling the spinnaker down with the bowman. Help him gather the foot, and then pull down the bulk of the sail. For bigger boats on tight reaches, the bowman may release the guy shackle at the end of the pole. Then you can simply pull the spinnaker in from the foot or lazy guy. For a jibe drop, start by setting the jib up on the port side if it's not there already. Once you raise the jib, help disconnect the pole, lower it, and stow it properly for the upwind leg. Then move to the leeward side and grab the lazy guy or spinnaker sheet on end-for-end boats. As the boat jives, pull the spinnaker to you and lift the foot over your head so that you end up on the windward side of it after the jive. At the same time the halyard is released, pull the bulk of the spinnaker down by the leech while the bowman works the foot and the luff. When most of the sail is down, head for the rail while the bowman cleans up. The most important thing to remember as a mastman is to follow the bowman's lead and make sure the pit is following you.